Greetings and welcome back to Room 303 and our chats with Emily as we are calling our readings through the poetry of Emily Dickinson. We are in the Johnson edition. We turn now to this brief four-line offering on page 764. Presentiment is that long shadow on the lawn. Now, of course, presentiment, that sense of foreboding, that premonition that maybe something bad is about to happen. Almost always presentiment seems to have a pejorative use to it. It is interesting as well. Notice the line here, how long it is. It reminds us, of course, of Emily Dickinson's contemporary, Walt Whitman. And the fact that she mentions lawn and grass in this poem makes that even more intriguing. Emily will mention grass in 33 of her poems. And it is interesting that you can compare much of what she has to say in this set of lines to some of Walt Whitman's own poetry. We'll maybe even come to that as we read through it. Now, our assumption, and by the way, another definition poem here. Our assumption is that you've been following our stuff at LearnStrong.net. Down that left-hand side, Chats with Emily's our playlist. Hopefully you worked through our set of introductory comments as well as the preceding 763 poems. We just finished with 763. He told a homely tale. Now, the question of this poem is how it ends. I'm going to challenge you. Does it end optimistically or pessimistically? You get to kind of decide what she has to say about presentiment. She says it this way in the 4 lines. Presentiment is that long shadow on the lawn, indicative that suns go down. The notice to the startled grass that darkness is about to pass. Now, it is interesting that this word presentiment is for her a long shadow on the lawn. In other words, as the sun is going down, the grass begins to realize, uh-oh, it's soon to be night. It's soon to be darkness, maybe representing evil or misfortune, right? It is indicative that, what? Suns do go down. By the way, it's fascinating to me that she'll be referencing here the lawn, she'll be referencing soon the grass, and Walt Whitman wrote a poem called the Sundown Poem, that of course was later named what? Crossing Brooklyn Ferry. We've given full lectures on it in our series on all of the poems of Whitman's Leaves of Grass. I just find this fascinating that she's using similar imagery that Whitman himself used in Crossing Brooklyn Ferry. Notice, right? The notice to the startled grass. In other words, when it finally starts to happen, the grass itself becomes startled, which I think is the key word of the poem. That darkness is about to pass. Now, it is interesting her use of the word pass here. Is she speaking specifically about going away in a positive way, or is she saying, no, this is coming to pass? And immediately, of course, we think about the darkness that falls after the whole issue of Christ and his crucifixion and all of that, the death of Christ. I think her point at 2a here is that nothing on earth can endure forever. And in that regards, we're back to our study of Beowulf and the fact that he can kill the first monster, Grendel, or the second monster, Grendel's Maw, although that one is more dangerous for him. But when Beowulf meets that final monster, the dragon, well, that's the monster of all monsters. That's death. And there is no getting around that one at all. At 2b, in regards to the rhetoric of this one, well, notice that the rhyme of the first couplet is imperfect. Lawn down. Should have been dawn, right? That of the second is perfect, grass, pass. Circumstance, one scholar has pointed out, which leads to some believing that Emily is describing in the second couplet a presentiment of a happy circumstance. The morning's shadow message to the grass is that darkness is about to pass on to be replaced by day. By the way, notice the number of sibilants in this poem. Presentiment is shadow, suns, notice, startled, grass, darkness is past, as well as other effects. The alliteration, for example, of long, lawn, the picking up of go down alliteratively in grass and darkness, right? Emily, I think, is enjoying herself in this poem, no doubt. At 3a, well, again, Walt Whitman's Sundown poem, Crossing Brooklyn Ferry, comes to mind. Go back and take a look at what we had to say about it at Talks with Walt, our series at LearnStrong.net. And again, we mentioned, of course, Beowulf's dragon and the power of that dragon. Finally, to own a poem like this at 3b, when was a time that you struggled with presentiment or a bad feeling? And how do you read this poem? Do you read this pessimistically or optimistically? Thank you.